Good evening, everybody, Googlers and educators and humanity. Welcome to GEGMN's Tip Tuesday, episode 11. And my name is Georgina Dean. I am the GEG leader for GEGMN in the Middle East. And I'm very excited to be joining you today to share some more Googly tips and tricks to support education communities across the Middle East and beyond, especially during this current global epidemic of COVID-19, where we are currently all going through distance learning, remote learning, whatever term you'd like to call it, where we are all at home and learning together virtually online. So the first thing to do today is to say welcome, and I'm going to now drop the link for today's agenda that you can see on the screen behind me in the chat box. If you would like to say hi in the chat on the YouTube channel, your name and where you're joining us from today. It's always awesome to connect with other inspiring Googlers around the world. So we're always happy to connect with new people and celebrate and collaborate with our existing and returning viewers. So I see that Tamina is joining us from Jordan. Tamina is an awesome educator that I currently work with here in Amman. And Dina's here. Hi, Dina. Welcome. Dina is also another inspiring educator that I had the pleasure of working with the last 5 years in Cairo, Egypt. So welcome, Dina. I know Tamina will be very excited to see you as well. So yeah, that's great. And we will, of course, welcome all the other viewers that join us throughout the show. Couple updates before we get started with today's agenda that I will say again at the end of the show is just that we're going to try a new time next week for Tip Tuesday. We had some feedback from our fellow Googlers from GEGMN that said that it was a little difficult to join Tip Tuesdays these past 3 weeks because people are relaxing and maybe taking an afternoon nap before iftar. So whereas initially we had moved Tip Tuesday up to before iftar, as a lot of our community are celebrating the month of Ramadan right now, we actually had feedback that many are catching up on some well needed rest before iftar. So next week is the last week of Ramadan. And so we're going to give it a try and do it later, the Tip Tuesday. So we'll air at 8:30 p.m. GMT plus 3 next week, which will be 7:30 p.m. GMT plus 2, which is Egyptian time zone, Dina, for you. So hopefully it gives people a little bit of time to break their fast, eat some food, ready to take on GEG Man. And we also will be having a special guest join us again next week. And I know that the later start time will also support their joining us from an earlier time zone as well. So hopefully that's going to work out all around for everybody. And then the week after, as it will be Eid holidays, we will not have Tip Tuesday the week after. So these last 2 weeks of May, next week will be aired at 8:30 p.m., which is 2 hours later than our normal scheduled time. And the week after will be holiday to let everybody take a well-needed rest during this crazy busy time for educators. So do feel free to shout out in the chat if that's good news, or if you would like to share any feedback about other suggestions for timings, please definitely let us know. So just checking the chat, looks like that will be good for most. Awesome. For next week. Great. Awesome. So yeah, let me know in the chat if you have any other ideas for that. Okay, so and then, of course, also we have our end of month webinar on the 31st of May, which is Sunday evening. And we'll cover all the updates for the month of May and some cool new resources that people can use in their classrooms during distance learning. Okay, so let's just take a quick review then for today's agenda. We're just going to review the distance learning resources because there were some updates from Google on some of these resources, so we'll just run through them again. I wanted to share the Chrome extension called Dualist. I had some people from the team asking how to split their screens effectively, so we'll take a look at that. And then the rest of the evening, Well, the rest of the show, I should say, not your whole evening, of course, will be all about how we can use whiteboards effectively. And I didn't list in that option the Google Meet, but we will review the Google Meet whiteboard extension as well, and I'll add that in there after. So without further ado, we will get started. So the first link, if you're joining me on the agenda for today, is the Teach from Home. So this opens up the Teach from Home, and you can actually now download a toolkit. So at the top of the screen, I'll just make that a little bigger for everybody to see. On the top right-hand side, there is a share. So if you'd like to share that out with your colleagues and your teachers at school, please feel free. And then there is a download toolkit. So when you click on download toolkit, it gives you a PDF version, 27 pages of all kinds of awesome embedded resources from Google on how to do everything. So how to use Classroom for communication, for example, you can click on it. It gives you screenshots to support you and to support users on how to work things and how to use different features within Google Classroom. So I will just close that. Lost my mouse momentarily. Stand by. There we go. So the one thing with Bluetooth, sometimes it pops in and out. There we go. Okay, so yeah, if you click on download toolkit, you can actually go through all of the 27 pages, and it's a really nice, it's almost like a virtual slide deck. It just has everything embedded from images to the applications to how-tos, and so it's really, really easy to use. And how to prepare to teach, for example. So this is a really great resource that even if for whatever reason you're on G Suite for Education or not, you can download it and share it with your colleagues regardless. So make sure that you know that that's there and let people know. It's called Download Toolkit. It's the box at the top right-hand side. And then normally under Teach from Home, we had our lovely EMEA regional Google leader, Dean Stokes video there. So now there's an updated video to share. So you can go ahead and click on that to view it. And then there's also for teachers, for school, and for families. So you can now choose the right tools for you before you just scroll down and see the different applications and then how you could view it. But right underneath the initial video, you're now able to click on the section that best applies for yourself. So for example, if you click on families, if you're at home, then it helps you. How can I learn about technology, the technology that my child is using at school? So it helps families learn about the Google tools, helps families learn how to use Chromebooks at home for accessibility, and then here how to get help with schoolwork. So it talks about the use of Socratic that's powered by Google AI. So for example, if you click on open, it gives you a direct access link to Socratic and gives you all of the information how to use it and explains how it's powered by Google AI. So again, I just absolutely love Google because everything is embedded for us. They provide us with all of the resources we need to totally rock education during distance learning and online learning and beyond. So make sure that you keep an eye on these updates. In case you guys didn't know, I had already linked in these links earlier in GEGMN. Yeah, there we go, on slide 7. But I'm putting them up there again because, as you can see, Google is doing just a brilliant job of updating their resources to make sure we have the best options available for our students and our community. So just going to check into the chat. The ladies are discussing Google Sheets. That's awesome. I think possibly the resource that our guest last week shared, right, ladies, from Stephanie Howell from GEG Ohio. So shout out to her again, who was on last week's episode to share how teachers and students can track their own progress through lessons or through units using a Google Sheet tracker that she generated. So really, really awesome to have her last week. Okay, so the ladies are discussing that. Awesome. Okay, so moving along then, we have also the distance learning resources and strategies for EDU leaders. That's fine. And then remember, guys, don't forget, that there is this little educator course from Google for Education where you can actually learn about how distance learning, how to power it up if you're new to distance learning, or you'll always pick up something new, definitely, even if you have been doing it for a while. What I really like, probably my favorite piece of this course, was the instructional design. So design is such an interesting piece, right? Because as educators, we all go through uni, school, college, whatever it would be, to learn how to design a motivating and inspiring lesson to hook and engage our learners. But it's not always the same in a physical environment compared to a virtual environment. So I really like the way that Google has forward thought this when they set this up and shared this, that teaches us how we can design for that virtual space, keeping in mind reaching all of the learners and making sure that everybody has access. So definitely take a look at that. You'll definitely find some useful tools. I know a couple of teachers at my school shared that they completed that last week and it was really helpful for their lesson. So definitely take a look at that. Okay, now we're going to take a look at Dualist. And Tamina says Stephanie's Google Sheet is awesome. That's great. Okay, so Dualist. Dualist is a Chrome extension. So if you click on it, it's going to take you to this tab here, which is called the Dualist Chrome extension. And you can add it to your browser. I'll just make that a little larger for everybody to see. Okay, so here you can click Add to Chrome. So I'm going to click Add to Chrome, this blue box on the right, and it's going to add the extension directly to my browser. So I'm going to click Add Extension here in the box on the right. And now it says Dualist has been added to Chrome. So as you can see, again, super simple to be able to add extensions to Chrome. And if you take a look, obviously you would check this out before adding it, but you could easily scroll down. Of course, it's removed now that I added it. Okay, let me remove it, and then you can see the slideshow again. So you can just right click and remove it exactly as I just showed you. And then I will click refresh. There we go. And if we click on overview, it actually gives us a slideshow to explain to us how Dualist works, what it looks like, what will it give to us. So as you can see, it basically splits your screens in two so that you are able to have, for example, your Google Meet on the left-hand side and then the presentation that you're actually sharing on the right. So I know a lot of teachers have been reaching out asking, how can I make it so that I can still see, my students in the Google Meet and interact with them at the same time that I have a presentation going on? So this is a great Chrome extension that will help you with that, called Dualist, and it literally splits your screen in half. So I'm going to click Add to Chrome, and then I'm going to show you how it works. So all we would do here then, I'll go to my drive and go into a Google Meet. Perfect. And join a meeting. Continue. Okay, so once, I'll just turn my microphone off so that it's no feedback, and then click join now. Okay, so now you can see that I have this. If I would like to actually then start to share a presentation, I would click on present now, and let's just say that I wanted to add in a Chrome tab, we'll say the Jamboard. So now as you can see, I can see my Jamboard presentation, but I'm no longer able to see the students to the right-hand side. So all I would have to do is click on the Dualist extension here, and I can choose which layout that I want to have exactly, horizontal or vertical. So let's just go with this one, 5 to 5, and now it has split my screen in half. But because I'm using software to, let's just see if I can go back to one-to-one. Okay, so I'm not sure actually if that came through on the YouTube. Can you guys let me know in the chat if that came through okay in the YouTube? Did you actually see the split screen? I'm going to go out on a hunch and say that probably you did not, because I actually watched it take over my entire screen on my screen behind my laptop. So I'm going to say that you probably didn't see it, but let me know in the chat if you did. As soon as you click on basically the ratio that you would like to use, it's basically going to split your screen for you, and then that's what you would actually see. So, yes, Dina says interesting. It definitely is. It like just splits it directly for you, and then you can bring in different screens and tabs. It Tamina says she couldn't see the split screen. Very good, Tamina. Thank you for letting me know. So give it a try if you would like to try it out, and you'll be able to experience that on your computer or your laptop. Um, then if you want, also by the way, if you have like an iPad, the iOS, the operating system for Apple, it has the ability to split your windows for you, your app. So normally how you would have to toggle, and I actually learned that from my awesome husband a few weeks ago, because I was saying you can't do that on an Apple device, and he's like, do you really train teachers? And I was like, come on. But it just goes to show, right, that we can't possibly know everything about everything. And so it's really nice to also learn from him. But he taught me how you can actually, instead of toggling to go back between different apps, you can use the iOS by dragging in from the bottom, depending on which iOS version you have up to date. And it splits your apps for you on a tablet or iPad. So you can do that as well. What I personally like to do, and again, it's just a preference, it depends on how you like to split your screens. I just like to literally take a window and then I can pull it. So you'll watch me grab this tab and I'm going to click stop presenting. Fine, I'm going to close it. We'll take the mini PD instead, and I can literally drag it down and it's going to pull it out. So you guys can't see it anymore on the screen because I only have going into YouTube that one window, right? But now it's pulled out the GEG Tip Tuesday agenda on its own window, and I just literally am going to move it to the side and resize it so that I have both in the same window together. And there you go, I popped it back in. So if you just click on the tab and pull it down, like drag it down, it does pop it out of Chrome. So little tips like that sometimes go a long way. Dina is saying it sizes the window to half screen. That's correct. Dina also says she learned something from her daughter. When you have two windows open and want to split it, press down and keep pressing down. Cool. Not really sure I understand, Dina. Try to let me know again. So you just keep pulling it down or pressing down? Gonna give that a try. Love learning with everybody. It's so cool. Um, yeah, you would just change the widths of the window to fit it into OBS. You're right, Tamina. Really good call. Yeah, absolutely. Um, okay, great. So that is Duelist. So check it out. The link is there if you would like to add it to your Chrome extension and give it a try. Okay, so that leaves us with 10 minutes left to explore whiteboards today. So I'm pretty excited. I know for a fact that Tamina and Dina, who are on the call with us tonight, have definitely both used Jamboard before. And some of them have either used one or other of these other apps. But it's basically just to give everybody a variety of different choices, because I think one of the nice pieces of silver lining that we're taking out of distance learning is our agility and flexibility with a variety of different edtech apps. So obviously Jamboard is a big winner, especially it's Google for EDU, and we are streaming for GEGMN. But in case people want different options to use, and it also depends on what students have available to them at home, so there are some other options there. So first of all, if you click on Jamboard, Google's Jamboard, it does take you to the first day of learning with Jamboard. So definitely, if you're new to using Jamboard, this link will help educators get started. So there's a whole bunch of videos you can watch of examples of how to use them. And a reminder that the Jamboard is actually the physical board, but the app that I'm going to be sharing with you today is the app that enables you to draw and write on it. So just be careful that if you are in the teacher center and you're looking at getting started with Jamboard, that you follow along for the app version. And just if it's talking to you about the actual board, obviously that wouldn't apply if you didn't have a physical board to go with it. But a lot of people didn't know that this page existed. So it's also a really good opportunity to share it with all of you today. As you can see, the Teachers Lounge, it's all about tips and tricks for teachers on how to introduce the Jamboard app. Um, 5 ways to use Jamboard in the classroom, and these are all videos. So I definitely picked up something new when I checked this out. So definitely go in and take a look at all of these awesome ones. Dina, there's this really cool one here. I'll let you know since you're on the call, how to use Jamboard for pre-writing on the bottom right here. This one has some really cool ideas on how you can set it up for your year. I think you're teaching year 3, right? You can set it up for your 3 years ahead of time, and then you can share it during your lesson and have them collaborate with you live in the Jamboard. Tamina, I know you teach secondary math, so obtuse and right angles are probably a little easy for your secondary students, but there is some maths on how to draw angles in there. So you never know, that might work out well as a pre-activity or post-activity as well. So there's something in there for everybody. There's also extra help at the bottom. So that's there if you'd like to get started with that. And then also is the webinar. So if you'd like to hear some tips and tricks from myself, I linked in a webinar that I gave for GEG Amman on the 18th of April on how you can collaborate with Jamboard. So you're welcome to take a look at that as well. And basically, let's jam together. So I am going to drop this link into the YouTube chat. So if you'd like to go ahead and just create a slide to introduce yourself, where you're from, and something cool that you've really enjoyed doing during distance learning is always a great opportunity to celebrate together. So if you'd like to go ahead and click on that, it will take you to the Let's Jam Jamboard. And so we can do it together. So for any of our new viewers that are joining for the first time, welcome to Google's Jamboard. So you can literally use the pen tool on the left-hand side, and don't mind my crazy writing skills with my mouse, guys. Please go ahead and take a slide on the Jamboard, guys, that I dropped in the chat, and go ahead and introduce yourself. And Georgina. You know what? This is actually getting a little better, guys. I have to say that my writing today with the mouse has definitely improved since the last 2 times. Okay, so this is one of the favorite things that I like about Jamboard, and a lot of people didn't know this. So you can click on the image icon on the bottom left, and you can definitely insert images that you have on your desktop or on your mobile device. But you can also use the Google image search to find pictures. And so I am going to put in there the word travel and click search. And I can find images, and these abide by the common creatives for copyright, so you're totally able to use them for free. So I'm going to insert an image here to say that I really love traveling. And what way do you guys think that students might like to engage with this as maybe a pre-activity or a during lesson time, like exploration activity, or even a plenary at the end? What do you guys think could be cool to use it with? And while you guys are thinking about that, I'm also going to search for a flying GIF or GIF, depending on how you would like to state it. And I'm going to insert that here. And basically that on the Jamboard, you can actually use GIFs. So a lot of people didn't realize that you could do that. So I'm going to put the GIFs here to say that I really love flying. Actually, it's kind of appropriate because I really love the cloudscapes recently that we got in Jordan. And then you can also add sticky notes. So let's choose a blue one, for example, and you can talk about it. So I love to travel during the holidays and looking forward to going diving in Egypt's Red Sea this summer with my husband. So obviously, if it's students completing it, then obviously they may not say their husband, obviously. You can also use this for PD. I know I did a training recently with teachers at my school, as Tamina can attest for, and we also did a little session on that. So this is just a really fun way that you could use stickies, GIFs, and images. Tamina saying that she could have students use notepads to say which option they wanted to choose and why. Great. So absolutely have different images up on the Jamboard, and then students would use sticky notes to say which option they wanted to pick as their answer. So a really great way to check for understanding. I love that. Dina said she prepared a gem ahead of time with a poem on each page, and then students had to join, and everybody added their own sticky note to identify what kind of poem it was and features. I love that. So identifying features, that's brilliant. Tamina loves her touch screen. That's awesome. Very exciting. And also that reminds me to remind you guys, if you do have a mobile device, Jamboard on your mobile phone or on your iPad has way more features as well than just the web version. So I have been recommending to educators, Dina, I don't remember if you told me you had an iPad or not, but if you do, download the Jamboard app for iPad, because you're able to set up a lesson where it links to different places in your Google Drive as long as you're signed in. You can write with your pen or your finger if you don't have a stylus or an Apple Pencil, and you can do a whole bunch more stuff. So you could pre-set up your lesson that your students could then engage with, like with embedded links to different videos or resources, and your students would still be able to engage with them after the fact when you post it to your Google Classroom. So do take a look at that and see what other options you can have. And I'm thinking, let me know what you guys think in the chat, but I'm thinking one of these Tip Tuesdays, we actually do a panel where everybody shares tips that have worked well in their classroom. So if you guys are able to use any of those, keep them in mind, because in June, to end off the year, we will be celebrating all of the different tips you guys have done with Tip Tuesday. So looking forward to that. Okay. Also, I have linked in a collaborative feedback gem here for you to look at, which I don't think I did. Okay, looks like I did not put the right link in there. Stand by. There's the right link. So let me grab that for you. Here is the link for the collaborative feedback. So I know, Tamina, we recently saw that at our school, but if you click on collaborative feedback now, it will take you to this Jamboard slide, and it gives you a different example of how you could set up online learning with your students. So it's not always about having them use Jamboard in the traditional way that it was set up to jam and brainstorm and different things like this. You could use it out of the box non-traditionally to do other things. So in this example, we have posted student work on the jam slides, and then it gives you examples of how students, you could group them into teams. And students with a certain team could be assigned a certain sticky color, for example, and they can leave feedback on student work this way. So it's just a different way to think about how you're using the gem, a little bit like Dina said with the features, which was really awesome, but it's a great way to give collaborative feedback, and it really helps the teachers save time having to mark after, because they can also use that time to go in and provide student feedback on the slides that way. So you guys can take a look at that jam slide for further feedback. And then I basically just dropped in some more examples of different whiteboards that you could use. So I know, for example, with the ShowMe app, I'm sure Dina will attest to that. That was like my all-time favorite go-to app when I was teaching primary in previous years 1 and 2. Students would be able to take it, and we can just go here to show you an example, there you go, of how students are using the writing features at the top of the app to be able to add, to draw, to record their voice, to watch videos on it. And so if you didn't want to subscribe to the paid promotion version of that, you could always just use the screen recorder from your iPad and do it that way to upload. And then, of course, you can always mash up any of those things with Edpuzzle or Screencastify and be able to take that even further, add in interactive components through Edpuzzle. So that's the ShowMe app. And yes, Dina says she remembers. I vouch for that. I was like, this is so cool. And the younger students absolutely loved using it. You remember, Dina, with those colors at the top, you can drop it down, and the options for color palettes was brilliant. Edu Creations is another one. I don't know if anybody in the chat has used it before, but EduCreations is especially really awesome for using for maths. And as you can see there, there's a map. So geography and maths are really, really big ones to use it for, but it's a great way to engage students with video, and obviously they can draw and write on it as well. It gives you the benefits of the app and you can take a look through it. So for example, there's a little video here. Obviously, let me take it, and you can see maths in action here, and then the teacher and the students can write on it and it would record a video. So it's a great way to provide. I had to pause it because I was listening to the guy at the same time I was talking. That can really throw you off, ladies and gentlemen. But this is a great one. And I had students when I was teaching in primary that loved this one as well. So I wanted to share EduCreations with you guys. And then whiteboard.fi is so cool. I just learned about this recently and it's brilliant. It actually means that you can join a class or add a class. We'll just play a little bit of it here. It's very short, but basically you create your class, you add your students, and the students, there we go, that's better. You name your class and it's all anonymous. So the students can choose to write their name on the board or they can be anonymous, and the teacher at a bird's eye view can see all of the screens at the same time that the students are responding. So it's really, really brilliant for immediate feedback during the lesson. You can pop out a question if you're in a live stream or a Google Meet classroom, and you can ask it orally, but all the students, as you can see, they can list their responses on the whiteboard, and then when they submit their whiteboard, after the students have answered, it's going to come through and the teacher can actually see everything. So I don't know, Dina, Tamina, have you guys heard of this before? Have you seen it? Do you see all the students' answers coming in? It's super awesome. Absolutely brilliant. So they get an overview. And I learned from one of my awesome Google friends that you can actually also download the board as I don't remember if they said PDF or PNG. We can test it out after, but you can download it and save it. And then the students could even upload it to the Google Classroom assignment, right? If you wanted that as evidence of learning or wanted to be able to give them more feedback on a one-to-one situation. Dina says she really loves it. Yes. Yes, as long as they all have devices to do that. That's correct, Tamina. But hopefully, at least if they're on the web interface, they'll be able to use it for sure. So this is really cool. If either of you awesome Googlers use that in your classes soon, ladies, do let me know how it goes. And definitely keep it in mind for June when we call upon Tip Tuesday goers to share their awesome work. Okay, so the last one is called Sketch from evernote.com. You can use it for Mac as well, download or log in. It's obviously an app, as you can see the app there, and it is another application that you can use. Let me see, where is the, okay, cookies, features, and there was a video in here last week when I added this. I will find the video after GEG Aman and add it in there as the example. There was a video also on the front page explaining how to use it, but it doesn't seem to be there this week, which is fine. But really cool. You can see a little bit from the images behind, so you can import images and you can add icons to go to things. So it's a bit more of a whiteboard interface where you can import images, which you can also do obviously with EduCreations and ShowMe and obviously Jamboard. So they're all pretty similar, but it's always nice to have different options to use in your class. And you will find also that your students love to be able to have the options and flexibility to use things that are new for them. I often like to challenge my students, as I did in a creative media class today, to go the extra mile too and jump out their comfort zone. So they may be really awesome with ShowMe app, and you may say, right, try experimenting and exploring on edu creations today, or see if you can collaborate something really cool using Google's Jamboard. So it's always nice just to have all of those awesome tools in your pocket so that students can have fun exploring and challenging their skills as well, enabling them to thrive even further to become the best digital citizens that they can be. Okay, so we did it. A few minutes over only, so that's okay. And we have covered our agenda today. So I hope everybody was able to find something useful um, and inspiring to have a go with their students in class this week. Do feel free to drop in the chat what you're looking forward to giving a try next week. Dina had a question about the whiteboard.fi, I think. Do the students see each other's boards, or only the teacher can see all? That is a really good question. Tamina says it'll be immediate feedback. Sometimes students get frustrated with the delay in the meets. Yes, exactly. But you're right, Tamina. With Whiteboard Fi, it will be immediate. And with regards to your question, Dina, this is an excellent question. If I remember correctly, when I trialed it out on the webinar 2 weeks ago, the students couldn't see each other's whiteboard. It's just for the teacher. But I am going to parking lot that question and drop it in the YouTube channel feed after the call, and I'll just confirm that for you if that's okay. Um, so that's brilliant. So we would like to thank you ladies for joining live today. And if you are watching this recording after the fact, then thank you very much for watching and joining. And we hope that you're able to find some new resources to support you and your students. We would like to thank you very much for everything you're doing to support your education community, especially in this very busy and hectic time during distance learning and remote learning. We know that it's not always easy for parents, teachers, and students to be confined at home learning, especially for us here in Amman, Jordan. It is the middle of week 9 for us. So that's over just over 2 months now. So yeah, thank you for everything you're doing. We really appreciate all the work you're doing to try and help your students get the best they can out of distance learning and remote learning, and we want to thank you for that. So take care of yourselves, stay healthy, and join us next Tuesday for Tip Tuesday at a new time just for next week at 8:30 p.m. GMT plus 3, which will be 7:30 p.m. GMT plus 2 and 6:30 p.m. BST. And we'll have a special guest to share something really cool for you guys next week. So stay tuned for that. And as always, we have our Sunday Google Meet check-ins just to check to make sure everybody's doing okay. So if you have 10-15 minutes, pop in, say hi, share how you're doing, any exciting news, ideas, tips, etc. Will be at 6:30 p.m. GMT plus 3 next Sunday. So thanks again, everybody, for everything you have done and for joining us today, and wishing you all a awesome week ahead. All right, stay awesome and happy Googling. Bye for now.